Good morning and welcome to Today in L.A. I'm Forrest Lee. This is Bill Rice, and on the phone we have the Mike Amos calling from Florida. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning. Good morning to you guys, man. I tell you what, it's going to be a beautiful day down here today.
Well, you need to put on your sunscreen if you go outside. It's going to be, 80 again today?
Ooh, I know. I wish I was down there.
The same thing I did yesterday. That's watch football on TV.
Yeah, that's the 29th day of December, and
I don't care where you are. You put these football games. They carry the weight.
You know, I watched Auburn, but I'm doing a lot of binge watching, and I've got a new show that has got my interest so much that I didn't even watch the Mississippi State game and some of the West Virginia game.
I watched the West Virginia game, and last time I was awake, West Virginia was losing 18-6.
Yeah, they lost. I checked the scores. Minnesota won that game.
Was that the final score? Do you know?
I think it was the final score. Yeah, or
18-6.
close to that. I mean, I might, but.
I tell you what, I tell you, I've seen some big, strong teams, but I tell you, the Minnesota team was tough, man. They were real strong. But I thought that our guy hung in there well against it.
well, Texas Tech walloped Mississippi State. They just walloped them.
They were a 10-point underdog too.
Yeah.
I will tell you this. I think the Mississippi State quarterback has lost a lot of his clout, man. I tell you, he didn't play well, I thought.
Well, it was supposed to be the revenge game for the Pirate, and the Pirate did not get any revenge. They got revenge on him.
Yeah. But,
Exactly.
you know, we had another cancellation. The Virginia SMU game has, it's supposed to be today at Fenway Park. It's been canceled. And, of course, yesterday the UCLA and North Carolina State were supposed to play. But on the schedule today, the Fenway game has been canceled. It was supposed to be at 11. But we have the Pinstripe game in New York with Virginia Tech versus Maryland. That's at 2:15 on ESPN. Then you have the Cheez-It Bowl in Orlando, Florida. Clemson versus Iowa State today.
The Cheez-It Bowl.
Now, these games are going to be played, but
Right.
as we know, they're going to play. Is that right?
There's three of them.
That's
And we also have the Alamo Bowl tonight in San Antonio, 9:15 p.m. Oklahoma versus Oregon.
Morning.
So we do have three games scheduled. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning, Mike Amos.
This is Michael Amos.
I have officially lost the college bowl picks that we've done on the show. I am awful. I cannot pick a game to save my life.
Well, probably all of us are doing. I was doing good early on. I don't know how I did yesterday.
Somebody told me that if you took the dogs, you'd win big, and I didn't have the guts to take the dogs.
Well, I know that the SEC is 0-4, and probably all of those SEC schools were favored. Which might be a good segue to talk about the Auburn Tigers. I know my Auburn friends might not be excited, but Auburn played pretty good and probably should have won, could have won, just like the Alabama game, but they didn't win. So congratulations to Houston.
That's the first time they've lost 5 games in a row since 1950 when they were 0-10.
Well, there you
That's
go.
what I read this morning.
They've lost five in a row, first time since
50 is what I read, and that's when they went 0-10 in 1950.
Well,
Auburn's got to find a new quarterback. TJ Finley is not your answer.
And they may lose their about 4 or 5 offensive linemen who are seniors who can come back one more year. Get ready for the transfer portal.
They should have given the ball to Bigsby more than Bigsby had a good game, but they should have given it to him more times. They got a little cute. Just hand the ball off to him and let your SEC offensive linemen block the American Athletic Conference's defensive linemen. They probably ran too many cute plays and passing plays, in my opinion.
And that where Zach Etheridge used to coach at Houston too.
Did he?
Isn't that correct?
Yeah, you got to realize Hartson fires his offensive coordinator, and Hartson called the plays yesterday. And boy, Auburn didn't look very good with him calling the plays either.
Well, what do y'all think about the AAC, the American Athletic Conference, 3-0? Houston beats Auburn. Auburn should have beat Alabama. Do y'all think that this is getting the attention of the Alabama fans and players before they play Cincinnati? Cincinnati had no problem beating Houston.
I tell you, I think you better look at Cincinnati straight up. I mean, they've got a good football team.
I think so too.
You know how hungry they are. Now, everybody should be hungry because they play for a national championship. If they're not hungry, they run them off, don't you think?
Yeah.
I mean, Alabama got their starting cornerback, Jalen Armour Davis, out of St. Paul, going to play. So that's big for the secondary after losing Josh Jobe. But Alabama should all they had to do is watch the Georgia game from last year. Georgia was pretty much losing that whole game. I think it's kicked a 53-yard field goal at the end to win it against Cincinnati. But that's all you got to watch if you're Alabama's players.
Yeah. Plus, Georgia had players that opted out last year in that game.
Yeah, so that wasn't the best score, but still, that was enough for like Michael says, that was enough to say. And they were playing in Georgia's backyard, and coulda, woulda, shoulda won. So, and then they roll off 13 wins this year. I hope Alabama's ready to. They might be ready to play. Alabama's undermanned. When you lose John Mechie and you lose your starting cornerback.
But is the receiver who's so fast? Isn't he coming back? You know, he's kind of Waddle-like.
He'll be in the
back.
Williams will be in the game, but it's so much more dangerous when you have
JoJo Earls,
two great wide receivers as opposed to one, because they can focus on that one guy, double team him.
Who do they have who do they have that will play Friday? Like who are they?
They'll play Brooks. They called the game-winning pass against Auburn. He'll play a lot. Holden's a pretty good receiver. There's a Hall kid that was phenomenal in the spring game that they say he's starting to look a little bit better in practice. A guy named Baker. I've been hearing good things about him. But
heard of a lot of these guys.
Well, here's the name you need to remember: Billingsley, the tight end. I think he's going to be a huge factor against Cincinnati.
You know, I've been scouting Cincinnati a little bit. I'm not going to take them for granted. One thing, I think Cincinnati has a great pass rush, and I believe they had 7 or 8 sacks against Houston, the Houston team that just beat Auburn. Man, if you got a good pass rushing defensive line and linebackers against Alabama's offensive line, that's something to watch for too. I mean, in other words, is Alabama's quarterback going to have time to in the pocket?
I've seen Alabama's seen it all. When you play Texas A&M, LSU, Auburn, and Georgia, they've all had that multiple packet of blitzing, and maybe they've got it figured out. But the key could be, well, their offensive coordinator and the offensive line coach have been out of practice for a few days.
Yep.
That's another thing. A factor. That could be a factor. Their
practice routine has been completely messed up because your offensive coordinator and offensive line coach haven't been there.
Yeah, they've had Joe Pendry, one of the greatest offensive line coaches in football, and the pros and college is still helping out Alabama's staff, and he's been helping out in replace of Marone. So you're talking about one of the greatest offensive line coaches of all time.
Yeah, but
Alabama's just got the luxury of stuff nobody has.
But still, to put in somebody that's a 72, 4-year-old offensive line coach when these guys have been coached by somebody else the whole season. It's kind of like when they brought Sark in 2 weeks before the national championship game a couple years ago. I don't think that's a good thing. But those coaches are back, so they are. I mean, they're back. Got back yesterday, so I guess I'll get a couple practices with them.
Well,
the question right now is COVID. COVID's the biggest question on all these games going forward. I mean, UCLA canceled 2 hours before kick yesterday, which is one of the craziest things I've ever heard in my life.
Within 5 hours.
So sorry for the state players.
Yep. That was in San Diego.
You would think,
At least they got a bowl trip out of it.
UCLA versus North Carolina State. North Carolina State.
They canceled.
San Diego.
I didn't know they
canceled
canceled 2 hours before kickoff. Oh,
within
yeah.
hours, yeah.
Oh yeah, the NC State coach is furious, and their athletic department. They said that at no time was UCLA up front mentioning that they were having COVID issues. Not one time.
There should be some legal matters there.
Well, it's just like in the ski. You just always claim COVID. COVID did it.
And I think the SEC basketball opener has been canceled. And I read the headlines. I don't know what 2 big teams are supposed to play this weekend are not playing.
Yeah, Memphis went out to Hawaii, and they enjoyed all the bowl festivities, and then the Memphis-Hawaii game got canceled the day before as well. So,
Yeah, and think of all the restrictions in Hawaii to get there.
Oh yeah, you're right. You know about that.
Party out there.
of course, big coaching news, the great Chip Lindsey is now the offense coordinator
Right.
at Central Florida. He left Florida Atlantic after 2 weeks of being Florida Atlantic's coordinator and quarterback coach. He's now back with Gus Malzahn. Central Florida beats Florida. Central Florida's going to be in the Big 12. Chip Lindsey's now offense coordinator in the Power 5 again.
I
There
tell
you
what,
go.
No telling what kind of salary he's going to get there too, because he had 2 other people that he was going to go to work for, didn't he?
Yeah, he was.
He was already employed at Florida Atlantic. Well, Mike Amos, didn't you say this?
He walked away with a big smile.
Didn't you say this weeks ago that he was going to Central Florida? Somebody told us that.
No, Dad said that, yeah.
Oh, there you go. It pays to watch Today in L.A.
I mean, I will say it is a big time move to go from Florida Atlantic, who's programs under Willie Taggart, to go to Gus Malzahn, and especially after them beat Florida and the momentum of going to the Big 12. I mean, that's a great job for Lindsey.
Do they have to wait?
Downtown Orlando, out in Orlando, Florida, don't you know that's going to be, don't you know he got a big smile on his face?
Do they have to wait to win a championship now that they've moved to that conference? Or can they immediately start playing for the...
That's a good question. Are they going to immediately start playing in that conference next year, or are they going to do it like the SEC?
Well, I'm hearing definitely 23, but there's a chance some of these moves can be made earlier for next season, is what I've heard. But I guess we'll wait and see.
We're talking about assistant coaches now. No, we're not talking about
No, we're talking about being able to play in the Big 12. Right now they're in the American Conference.
You're right.
The
In case we got Bill Rice, we got Forrest Lee, we got Mike Amos, and ladies and gentlemen, we hope that you had a very Merry Christmas. Forrest, how did you go? How did everything go at your house?
We're good. We went to Georgia Christmas morning and came back the next day and visited with some family there and met with one of Jody's longtime friends, Laurie Drennan Roberts. They graduated high school together in Manchester in 1983.
That's the year I graduated.
Yeah.
Your wife's my age?
She went to Georgia Southern. We were dating. We went to see the Georgia Southern Tennessee Chattanooga Mocs play down there in.
Well, how did y'all meet? How did y'all meet?
Through a 11-year-old boy named Roy Durham.
No, all right. He changed history.
That's right.
What did he say? I want you to meet. He said,
No, I was
I want
sitting
you
on
to
the
meet.
bleachers.
I want you to meet this pretty girl.
Yeah, I was sitting on the bleachers one Friday afternoon. He said, "Coach, we got to talking, and he asked me, was I married and was I dating anybody?" I said, "No." Well, I asked him where he went to church. He told me. So he gets off the bus and calls Jody and tells her all about me and tries to set us up.
Oh my
And
God.
Jody said, "Do not."
This is an 11-year-old
Yeah.
boy.
Do
One
not.
of your students, one of your PE
Yeah.
students.
Roy Durham, 11 years old. She said, "Don't give him my phone number." He wanted to give my phone number. Well, Monday he comes with her phone number anyhow. So that night I called her and apologized for him and all what he'd done. I said, "It's kind of neat how he tried to get us together." So I said, "Ask her out. You're 0 for 2 on blind dates. 0 for 3 is not much difference." This is the short version.
Okay.
So I asked her out and she said yes. And so that was November the 8th, 1988. We went on our first date, and Christmas Eve of '88, my mother passed away.
Mm-hmm.
They never met, but the Lord took care of me. He introduced Jody to me a month before.
You know, that's like,
and that's a short story from a long story.
you know, I started dating my wife, Carrie, when my mom was real sick. And I was living in Montgomery, and she never met Carrie. I think I told her in one email I'm going out on a date with this girl. And then my dad passed away shortly after my mom, and my dad met Carrie one time. We went to Mossy Grove Schoolhouse Restaurant to let Dad know that we were serious. You know, you got to meet this girl. That's kind of like you, huh?
Yeah. Well, my dad got to meet Jody. We stopped. She went with me to see him at the VA hospital in Tuskegee, and we were there in the waiting room, and I introduced Jody to Daddy, Joe. His name's Joe, and we got to talking. I said, Daddy, she can't cook. And my dad looked straight at her with that look on his face. He said, you can't cook? I was teasing. And so.
Well, that's an amazing story that you were set up by one of your 11-year-old.
He was in the wedding, too. He was the only one that was shorter than me. Claude Giddens and Gene Allen.
Well, how's he doing now?
He is a nurse at a cancer clinic in Columbus, Georgia.
Good.
Roy Durham.
Well,
I called him just the other day to thank him again.
Oh.
I called him on November the 8th. Roy, thank you.
Of course, we lost a legend yesterday in John Madden passed away. John Madden, the great Raiders coach. Of course, he was a great color analyst for, 25, 30 years. I mean, they named a video game after him, Madden football, and Madden's favorite player probably of all time is Kenny Stabler when he died.
No question about it. And he said that if he could take any quarterback that he's ever seen and take his team for a touchdown in the last minutes of a game, he would want it to be Kenny Stabler. He thought Kenny Stabler was the best ever.
I've got some facts on John Madden. John Earl Madden. He played one season at the College of San Mateo. Then he got a scholarship to the University of Oregon. His longtime friend since the third grade was John Robinson, of course, legendary coach. And he was drafted in the 21st round by the Philadelphia Eagles and got injured, had a knee injury. So Norm Van Brocklin, the quarterback, said, come on in here, John, when he was hurt. And so he watched film with him, and that's how he learned and started loving the intricate details of football. So he became a coach, and the first place that he coached at was, I've got it somewhere, but Allen Hancock College. And then he became the head coach there, coached at San Diego State, but he, at age 32, Al Davis hired him to be the head football coach for the Oakland Raiders, 32 years. And for that 10-year span, his record was 103, 32, and 7, 759 winning percentage, which is the highest percentage in league history among coaches that have won 100 games. And then they won the first Super Bowl, and Super Bowl 11. Who did they beat?
The Minnesota Vikings.
Who was the MVP?
The receiver.
Kenny Stabler.
No, a receiver.
Biletnikoff.
Fred Biletnikoff.
I remember that
and
game.
And Biletnikoff played college football where?
At Florida State.
Wore number 25. His first NFL pass completion came from Tom Flores.
Oh, yeah.
Who was on staff at that Super Bowl, and then he later became the head coach of the Oakland Raiders.
Let me ask you this. Before you get too far. What was Biletnikoff known for? What did he
stick 'em.
As a receiver, what did he use a lot of?
Stick 'em.
Stick 'em. Can't you see that he's got all this stick 'em on his leg? I think he kept it on his leg. He was constantly rubbing it on his hands. They said the ball got so greased up by Biletnikoff using that stick 'em. They had to stop the game one time.
I watched the Raiders all the time and loved them because Stabler was their quarterback, and I never saw Biletnikoff drop a pass. And you know, the Snake had a strong case for being the MVP of that Super Bowl too. He had a great game.
Now Biletnikoff at Florida State his junior year, he played on both sides of the ball and led Florida State in receiving and interceptions his junior year.
I didn't know that.
And little side note, Blitnikoff was man of the year one year in pro football, but his daughter, when she was 20, her life was taken in a rehab clinic. But anyway, I get away from that too. But the only living coach in the NFL in the first 14 Super Bowls, the only living coach that's still living is Bud Grant. He's 94 years old.
I didn't know Bud Grant was still living.
Still living.
Well, Madden was a great coach. The best color analyst of the NFL ever in the heyday of the NFL, as far as I'm concerned.
I want to stay on that subject, but let me say this. The year before Oakland went and won the World Championship, what happened to Kenny Stabler in a playoff game that would have hit
immaculate reception, Franco Harris.
That was the craziest play in NFL history, where the ball ricocheted.
Yep.
Stabler was quarterback, and he threw the ball and it ricocheted, and boy with a big beard, what was his name?
Franco
Harris.
Harris, the Italian stallion from Penn State.
He caught it on reflection and ran for a touchdown, and if not, just minutes before, Stabler had taken the team all the way for a touchdown, and this is the closing seconds, the last play of the game. They throw the ball downfield. The ball ricochets off of a defender. Franco Harris picks it up with a foot off the ground, runs it in for a touchdown, and Pittsburgh plays for the World Championship instead of Oakland.
Yeah, so Oakland could have had some more. They probably would have won the Super Bowl that year. That's a good point.
And that's right.
We need to mention this too, off the subject. But how horrible is Mississippi State, and how horrible is West Virginia's offense yesterday?
I don't know about the.
My league is a 10.5-point favorite. Mississippi State scored 7 points against Texas Tech. West Virginia was an underdog against Minnesota. Neil Brown scored 6 points last night. Two offensive errors.
What was the final score of that game? Do you know?
Minnesota won 18-6.
Minnesota. That was a. I thought West Virginia. Minnesota just totally outmanned West Virginia, but West Virginia hung in there, and their defensive coordinator is a guy that played football for Troy.
Jordan Lesson.
Yeah, Jordan Lesson.
I mean, my league, I don't know how he can go back to start watching the way they played. I mean, that Will Rogers looked like he didn't hit the side of the barn yesterday. He was like the best quarterback accuracy-wise in the SEC.
I know, shocking.
In fact, I would say he was probably, as right now, his rating is not very high.
Well, what about the SEC? It's just 0-4.
Not a good sign.
I heard somebody on. I heard some caller on Feinbaum a couple of weeks ago from California. No, from Vegas. And he said the SEC is overrated, and he went on and gave some of his reasons. And man, he caught grief, as you would expect on the SEC network. But now, when I'm listening to that fellow's comments with new ears, maybe knew what he was talking about.
Well, we got. Let's see. Arkansas is going to play Penn State. You got Kentucky's going to play Iowa. You got Alabama versus Cincinnati, Michigan versus Georgia, Ole Miss versus Baylor, and on the 4th of January we got Kansas State versus LSU. So I think that's what we have left now. Tennessee and Purdue, South Carolina, North Carolina. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 more games.
Well, you have I think 12 SEC teams in bowls, right. Not 13.
So tomorrow we got North Carolina versus South Carolina, Purdue versus Tennessee tomorrow.
Surely they won't go. The SEC won't go 0-12.
I tell you what, I can't see South Carolina beating North Carolina. Can y'all?
North Carolina's 9.5 point favorite. Today you got Maryland against Virginia Tech. That game's going to be played in Yankee Stadium. Later today you got Clemson against Iowa State, and then tonight you got so many players that have opted out, transferred, not playing. 2 coaches not coaching. Oregon and Oklahoma tonight. It's kind of going to be a dud.
But I would take Oklahoma in that game. I think Oklahoma's better than Oregon.
You know, they had several players from Ohio State opt out. You know, when they play Utah in the Rose Bowl, 2 of their best receivers, and 3 or 4
I'll tell
more.
you, enjoy these bowl games while you can, because 5 years from now, 90% of them are going to be gone. I say this knowing that Mike's good friend Johnny Williams is in the bowl business, but the players aren't playing, the fans aren't going to the game. You know, Auburn had a good crowd, but they only had to go in their same state.
Somebody told me that Auburn filled it up.
Yeah.
It looked packed from where I was sitting.
It looked like it was full.
It's a sellout.
Well, it's only 47,000.
Central Florida and Florida sold out too. They were 65,000.
Oh man.
Well, if you got you've got some of your state powerhouses playing in a bowl game in your own state, you can sell tickets. That's the
And I'll tell you this, you know, Central Florida is on its way up. They just hired the former Troy coach to run their offense, and Malzahn is. I just think that's way on something, and they beat Florida.
Yeah, but Florida
They beat Florida. They beat them handily.
Yeah, and
you remember that's a Florida team that could have easily beat Alabama too.
Florida's quarterback Emory Jones played in that game, and he was already in the transfer portal, and they had a wide receiver played in the game, and he was in the transfer portal. So you got 2 guys that are leaving the program after the game.
that's
That Emory
crazy.
Jones
All of that is crazy.
was absolutely awful at quarterback. I mean, just horrible. I mean, T.J. Finley looked like an All-American compared to Jones against Central Florida. But, man, this transfer portal thing has just changed college football. It's just the craziest thing ever. You don't know who's going to play. You don't know who's going to opt out for the draft.
It's crazy. It is crazy. It's gonna, and it really won't hit the fans till about 2 weeks from now. You know, after the playoffs.
Bo Nix had to be sitting back just laughing watching Auburn's offense yesterday.
Yeah, he's going to Oregon.
It was terrible.
He's going to Oregon.
Their defense kept them in there, and you know, I think they're doing all right as far as defense. But boy, they can't score, and you know they got this guy so you know their great running back. You know, he gets 100 yards and doesn't make any kind of difference. You know.
I'll tell you where Auburn lost that game. Is Auburn picks off a pass and runs it back all the way to the Houston 25. The play is called back because Smoke Monday, their star safety or defensive back, gets a targeting on a block on the interception return. And then instead of Auburn having it at the Houston 25, they have it at their own 25. So they lost 50 yards of field position. They would have got points. But here's what concerned me about Auburn. After that play, Smoke Monday has a debatable targeting call on a block on the interception return. But after the play, he's laughing and getting high fives from everybody for making an illegal play that cost his team 50 yards and probably cost them the game, and he's getting high fives and joking about it. That's a red flag for me, man.
On the final series, wasn't there another targeting call on that last drive?
Yeah, Auburn lost 2 players.
And that extended that drive, the winning drive.
They only had 1 starter in the game at the very end.
Yeah, that was
Opt-outs and targeting penalties.
It was like 3rd and 14 or something like that. And,
some guy hit a guy after he was already down. You know, that was debatable too. But just the team attitude following that play, I just did not get it. I mean, it was a disastrous play for Auburn, and they're celebrating it.
Reminded me kind of the Mike Shula days at Alabama.
Yeah. Those are the little things that you notice and you say, what's going on?
it's going to, like we said, like you said, I can only see it getting worse. And we got a whole slate of guys. We got a lot of football left to play. And, you know, I looked for the Houston kick returner, and Mike tell us he didn't even play.
Well,
yeah, he opted out.
The head.
He wanted to get ready for the draft.
Who's the head coach?
He wanted to get ready, and he wasn't going to help his team out.
Yep.
Who's the head coach at Houston? Mike Hogan.
Dana Holgerson.
Yeah, and he was upset after the game because the press conference that Auburn was in was delayed 20 minutes because Harsin likes to address his team first, and they were in there for a long time. And you could hear, they said that you could hear him hollering outside the press conference, "Hey, hurry up!" And he was upset because the winning team was prolonged in their press conference, and he was not happy with the officials in Birmingham. He said, "Y'all need to fix this. You need to have two going on at the same time." But he was very vocal, and you can tell his demeanor, they say, was irate.
I'll tell you
being
one thing,
delayed.
that Houston quarterback was the best-looking quarterback. I thought he was a good-looking player. He might be a sleeper there.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got another year left. We need to mention,
I think he's good.
we need to mention Troy football hired their two coordinators. Joe Craddock is the new offensive coordinator, and I'm going to say Shiel Wood is the new defense coordinator. Shiel. How would you pronounce that?
Shield, I think so.
Well,
No,
Craddock was
that's Tennessee State quarterback.
yeah, he was and I remember when he was a player, and of course that wasn't too long ago. But he's done well in coaching, and now he's going to be Troy's offensive coordinator. Now this is our buddy's philosophy, Mike.
He's a Tony Franklin disciple, Chad Morris disciple. He was the SMU offensive coordinator at 32 years old. Of course, Chad Morris called the plays at SMU. Then he followed Chad Morris to Arkansas, where he was the Arkansas offensive coordinator as well. But Chad Morris called the plays there. So this might be the first time he's actually called plays as an offensive coordinator.
But what I'm saying, you know, we're going back to the good old days, and those were good old days when he was the coordinator.
Well, who you going to get to fill those shoes? You got to get somebody on that playing field you can hire. There again, who are we going to get? We got to get some players.
Some Jimmys and Joes to go with X's and O's.
Yeah, you get some Jimmys. Bad time can you get some Jimmys and Joes.
Craddock's been under Brian Vincent, a great friend of yours, Dad, former Charles Henderson offensive coordinator. He's been under Brian Vincent the last 2 years at UAB.
That's great. And that tickles me. You know, Brian Vincent, and I've said this for a long time, he's going to be a good head coach one day.
Nice guy. I hope so.
Is Troy retaining anybody on their staff? Well, I guess now we'll know once the coordinators have been hired.
We know Bam Harmon was back. You mentioned it a while back. You saw him on the recruiting trail.
Yeah, Bam.
He's the linebacker coach. And then Rusty Witt, the strength coach, has been retained. Shiel Wood has been the co-defense coordinator at Army the last 2 years. Before that, he was a secondary coach at Georgia Tech. And then most of his experience was as a defense coordinator at Wofford. That's also where he played as well. So,
I'm familiar with that program.
A guy coming from Army, though, he's got to be disciplined, hard-nosed coach. Army's been good on defense the last couple of years as well.
That's right. Let's take a short break, ladies and gentlemen. You're on Today in L.A., and we'll be right back.
We'll be back.
It's the Big Finish pre-owned sales event. 120 used cars, trucks, and SUVs. $2.5 million in inventory. Starting at $2,995. Down payments as low as $29. And payments starting at just $99 a month. Shop at PremierTroy.com or come see us. Nobody beats a Premier deal. Nobody.
I wish you could taste how much better food tastes when cooked on a Green Mountain grill. But I can let you in on the reason that's true. Our pellets contain water, so they create steam while you cook, keeping your food moist. Does a gas or charcoal grill do that? I think not.
Come and see us at Southern Grill and Patio just off the square in Troy.
A personal touch, a high level of trust. Whether it's checking and savings accounts, personal or business loans, or our local friendly service. That's what Troy Bank and Trust customers expect. But now we offer more. Free identity theft protection for our new and existing customers, protecting your family's time, money, and good name from identity theft. Because protecting your identity is now a big part of our identity.
Life is hectic enough without worrying if your lights will stay on or if there's hot water for your child's bath. So count on natural gas to keep the energy flowing, even when the weather is unpredictable. Natural gas is always there to keep your home warm, showers hot, and food cooked to perfection. That's why America has relied on safe and affordable natural gas for more than 150 years. And we will be here for you and future generations too. You can count on natural gas from Southeast Alabama Gas District.
It's the Big Finish event going on now at Premier Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Save up to $10,000 on new Ram 1500 or new Jeep Grand Cherokee. Save up to $10,000 during the Big Finish event at PremierTroy.com. Nobody beats a Premier deal. Nobody.
I want you, Steve.
We're back, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. Welcome to Today in L.A. with I'm Forrest Lee. This is Bill Rice, and on the phone we have Mike Amos. And Michael Amos, his son, calling in from the great state of Florida. And this coffee tastes great, or is it less filling?
That's what made John Madden famous, really. As good a coach as he was, he became a sensation and a media star when he did these Miller Lite commercials right after he retired, and he retired at a young age. Yeah. And they were hilarious, and he did such a good job with them, and then somebody asked him to be a color analyst, and the rest is history.
Hey, one thing I want to mention about John Madden, he ended up graduating from Cal Poly. You know, he had a fear, they said he had a fear of flying, but he says really it was more claustrophobia than that. But in 1960, the Cal Poly State football team were involved in a plane crash. And he knew several of the people there because this was just 2 years removed from when he graduated. But there were 16 players, the team manager and some others that were killed in that plane accident. Everybody did not perish, but that bothered him a lot. And you know, he had a panic attack on an air flight one time, but it's more claustrophobia than anything. So he was known for the Madden bus.
Well, yeah, first he traveled by train, and then he worked the deal where he got his own bus and traveled the country by bus, which he still does. But you know, on top of everything else, he was a brilliant businessman, and he's probably one of the wealthiest people in America because he got an interest of that Madden game, which I've never played, but it is a $1 billion business, I think.
You're right. He's gotten filthy rich on that.
And hats off to Turkeys from Heaven and Mrs. Sanders and that whole group of men and women
Kelly,
and the youth that
Sanders,
create that.
Wonderful lady.
Steve Kemp mentioned there were like 450 turkeys and meals delivered throughout Pike County, and Turkeys from Heaven, a great event that
made possible by loving Christian people that are thinking about their neighbors.
Is it Kelly? Is her name Kelly Sanders?
Kelly
Sanders, yeah.
Kelly.
I need to mention also tonight, which is unusual, Bob Stoops will actually be coaching Oklahoma tonight. So he's coming out of retirement to coach Oklahoma because Lincoln Riley went to USC.
Yeah, they're going to be without players.
So, which one is going to hurt the most, I'm wondering.
Well, they play Oregon.
Maybe it'll be a wash. So, I mean, both teams have lost a lot of players and coaches. They still wear the Oregon and Oklahoma uniforms, though, so there'll still be a lot of interest. If Alabama lost 20 of their players and 4 of their coaches, I would still watch Alabama.
I think so,
it's like
too.
spring training is what it is. It's like a spring training game. You're going to play your kids that you're going to plan on playing next year. But like Florida, I believe I'd have played my next quarterback.
Yeah. Yeah,
I believe it would. And
Yeah, all right.
Anyway.
One kid they should have kept him in there. I was not very excited over West Virginia's quarterback. What did you think, Mike?
Daggy, he was awful.
I mean, is that who they've had to win with? I mean, every quarterback he ever had at Troy was way better than that guy, wasn't he?
Well, Taylor Powell, Troy quarterback that transferred in from Missouri, has now left the program as well. So Taylor Powell, I guess, started 5 games, then he got hurt. And so pretty much, Chip Lindsey went with Powell over Watson, and I guess
that's where you got off to a bad start.
I guess you can't really say anything great about Taylor Powell's career at Troy. It was not too productive.
Well, he played golf several times at Brunswick Country Club, and Forrest got to know him.
what was his record? Didn't he start? They won like 3 or 4 games under him, didn't he?
Yeah.
And he was a nice guy, too.
He lost the La Monroe game, and I think that if you look back at Troy's season, that was kind of the downfall. Even though La Monroe ended up being a little bit better than people thought, I think they still finished 4-8. But that was the game that pretty much ended Troy's season.
Yep.
But if you watch the South Carolina game, how many chances Troy had in that South Carolina game? Powell made a lot of bad throws in that game. One went for a touchdown, one late, I think, was another, really bad throw late in the game. I mean, that was kind of, I guess, the end. That was all Lindsey had to see. But I think if Lindsey would have went to Watson a little bit earlier, I think Troy would have had a better season.
Yeah.
I think one thing. Go ahead. I was going.
No, and really, all he had to do was win 6 games, and that was giving him. I think he was. Don't you think if he had won 6 games that they wouldn't have messed with him?
Well, I don't know. I think he probably still would have been let go. But I mean, I think getting to a bowl would help. But I don't know if you keep your job because he still would have had a losing record in 3 years.
But Forrest, let me.
Neil Brown's under a lot of pressure. West Virginia. I wouldn't be surprised if Neil Brown might be let go.
Are you serious?
No, I mean you're looking at 5-7 his first year, 6-4. He won the Liberty Bowl last year, 6-7 this year. That's not a very good 3-year run. And West Virginia is not a horrible program.
Yeah. I tell you what, it is amazing how that West Virginia defensive front stood up to that unbelievable Minnesota offensive line. That Minnesota offensive line was as pretty as any offensive line I've ever seen.
Minnesota. I've kept up with Minnesota because
how would you like to be in that game on the goal line? You're playing on the goal line against Minnesota, and they bring in that 380-pound tackle to run the football.
It's like tackling a Bramer bull.
Yeah.
He was from Australia. 6'9", 380 pounds. They put him a running back.
And they put him in as a running back, and he came off the ball like you wouldn't believe.
I've kept up with Minnesota for a weird reason. I've been following these cases where I think that might be vaccine related. And Minnesota had a running back that was doing really good, a young sophomore running back. He left the game in the 4th quarter, about the 3rd game of the year, and then he went over on the sidelines and he had some kind of medical emergency. Very scary, and they took him off in the ambulance and he spent 7 nights in the hospital. We still don't know what caused his injury or illness, but he's out for the year. So I've kind of wondered, But after that happened, though, I said, well, they've lost a good running back. Well, they plugged in somebody else, and they kept running the ball good. Then that guy got hurt. And so Minnesota keeps running the ball really good, and so you must make the conclusion that they have a really good offensive line, and whoever they put at running back is going to do okay.
But I will tell you this, the more I look at it, the more I think about that, for West Virginia to have hung on against this massive offensive line and powered football team. Jordan Leslie, he needs to put a feather in his hat, I'm telling you.
Yeah, I mean, that was a good performance. I watched the first half last night, but, man, I couldn't stay up. I mean, that game did not start last night till 9:20. 9:20.
Oh, I was watching that. I was watching it at 12 o'clock last night, at least 12 o'clock.
Well, take your afternoon nap so you can watch all of it.
Some of these.
I tell you what, don't ever get in the mood of playing a guy. Just because you know the coach and you've been around him all the time. Best thing to do is stay away from stuff like that, because he didn't have a chance to win that game. I mean, they were not very good on offense.
I think Minnesota was favored in that game, or were they? I'm
Were
thinking
you
about.
asleep, Forrest? Were you asleep during all that time?
Yeah, I was.
You weren't watching. I didn't watch it. I'm
I was
watching
up
this
at
show called.
4:30 though.
I'm binge watching this show on Netflix called Daredevil. It's a superhero story about a blind lawyer by day that's a superhero at night.
Yeah.
And,
I
I recommend it if anybody's looking for a good binge watch show. High quality writing and acting and storylines.
A couple of high school notes I wanted to mention real quick. Charles Henderson, the last 2 days, they've defeated, the boys in basketball defeated Carver Monday 92-69, and they defeated Lanier yesterday 65-47. They're 12-4 on the season. Both the boys and the girls are ranked in the top 10. Their next game will be January the 6th at Luverne High School. Pike Liberal Arts is 2-0 in the Sandestin Beach blowout. And listen to some of these teams. They defeated Forsyth Central out of Georgia, and they defeated Navarre, Florida yesterday. Well,
So they're playing public school.
they are playing public schools in this tournament in Florida. Some of the other teams are Navarre, Star Mills, Georgia, Forsyth Central, Georgia, Freeport, Florida, Arab, Alabama, Blunt, Tennessee, Montgomery Academy out of Montgomery, Alabama, Good Hope, Alabama, Brehitt, Kentucky, Brehitt County, Kentucky, Whitewater, Georgia, Brookwood Academy, Georgia, Bayside Academy, Alabama, Winter Park, Florida, Franklin, Tennessee, Spring Garden, Alabama. So
I have never heard of a high school tournament that had teams from such a diverse number of states.
It's cause it's the beach.
Freeport High School is coached by the great David Felix.
That's who's hosting
I
it.
know it sure is, yeah.
It's the 27th annual. They have a boys tournament and a girls tournament going on at the
I tell
same
you, that
time.
is amazing. That's one of the largest high school basketball tournaments I've ever seen.
You know why Pine Level Arts is playing this tournament is because one of their assistant coaches is Billy Jeffco.
Yeah,
Billy
Billy.
Jeffco coached with David Felix for years. They're
Yeah.
probably best of friends.
They'll play tonight at 7:30. Pike Liberal Arts will play the winner of. I'm not sure who won that game, but it's going to be either
That's interesting.
Blunt or Freeport, I believe.
Blunt?
Where are they playing down here? I might get on there and watch it.
I believe they're playing at Freeport High School.
Oh, well, that's definitely close.
Yeah, look at it's go under the 27th annual Hilton.
What is Pike Liberal
Sandestin
Arts'
Beach.
overall record? Have you
They
found that?
haven't been beat. They're undefeated. They're like 8 or 9-0.
Well,
You know,
let's talk about this.
great
Pike
shooter
Liberal
on
Arts
that
has won 4 consecutive state championships in all the big sports. Just won another repeat in football. So would you say they're the favorite to win it in basketball?
Sure.
That'll be 5 in a row. They're going to be the favorite to win it in baseball. Pike Liberal Arts has a chance to win 6 consecutive state championships, which nobody has ever come close to doing that.
What are we going to do about the archery program though? Can they win a state championship?
Yes.
Well, there's some kingpins in archery in Alabama, trust me. But in the Elba tournament, Brantley 72, Goshen 25, and we have 2 area football players, or 3, that are in the Alabama Sports Writers Back of the Year, Lineman of the Year running. Of course, you got Emmanuel Henderson out of Geneva. Keldrick Falk, a defensive lineman at Highland Home, has been nominated for Lineman of the Year in 2A football. And in the Lineman of the Year in 1A, you got Kedrick Brown. He's the guy that scored. You know, he's a basketball guru too.
Oh yeah, that's the Brown he's a great running back.
He's up for Lineman of the Year. I think he's just a junior. And the AISA Lineman of the Year, up for that is Keith Williams, offensive lineman at Pike Liberal Arts. So congratulations to them and good luck in those endeavors.
Keith Williams, yeah.
That running back from Geneva County is the back of the year. I want to. We can forget about this.
Pike Liberal Arts just hired Hickson as their football coach. What about Pike County High School? They hired a new coach.
I have not.
Coach Holland yet?
I have not. That has not been named. That will be key because if I were that guy, the first thing I'd do is I'd try to re-recruit my players that I lost. Really, I mean, I really would. And when you lose players to another program for whatever reason, some of the players that might would have played, well, I'm not going to play and get whooped, and then there might be some, but going back to Rush, I can see changes already. Things are in the right.
Going the right way.
That was a great pick.
Well, that's right. I mean, above all, pick character and
class.
And they got it in Rush, and his family that's what they represent is class and good people. They're going back to their Rush's.
I spoke to Matt Brown the other day. He's the head basketball coach at Pike Liberal Arts, and he's so energetic, it's unbelievable. But Matt Brown is in his second year, I believe, as head coach, and I think Billy Jeffcoat helps him. And
wow,
Matt was.
Well, I want to see the Pike Liberal Arts basketball team play, and I want to see the Charles Henderson basketball team play.
Exactly.
Well, the guy, the big shooter on that team is the coach's son. He's only a sophomore, and he's a big 3-point shooter for him, for Pike Liberal.
Yeah, Coach Cross's son.
Yeah, Austin. He's a junior.
Yeah. Speaking of Troy basketball, huge win on the road at Mercer the other night. Troy comes back and wins 69-65. Troy basketball is entering conference play at 9-4, their best record since 2002, entering conference play. So I was shocked. Mercer had beaten 4 Sun Belt teams before they played Troy. Right. And Troy was, I think, a 7 or 8 point underdog going into that game. They won big win for Troy.
I think we play Texas State tomorrow there. The Bobcats, I think we play them tomorrow night. And then the ladies will host Coastal Carolina. Unless things have changed because of COVID.
Go support the Trojans.
They're the Chanticleer. And you know what a Chanticleer is, right?
It's some kind of rooster or something.
It's like a bad rooster.
I asked that question. Ask and learn. If you don't know, ask. There's no such thing as a dumb question, bad question.
But if Troy could just go 9-9 in conference play, I mean, shoot, they could have 18 wins going into the conference tournament. I mean, Troy would have an outside chance to get 21 wins this year, which has not happened since the NCAA tournament team under Coach Cunningham. Of course, that NCAA tournament team played Duke in the first round of the tournament.
In that Sandestin tournament, let me read this to you. Darrell Lee, who I don't think played basketball at Charles Henderson, but he plays baseball at Pike Lib. He scored 14 points all in the second half. Austin Cross added 11. Drew Nelson had 9 points, all 3-pointers. Mario Davenport added 8 points. That was the first game. And I saw the line for Charles Henderson. This was against Carver. All right, Tay Knox, 33 points, 11 rebounds, 3 blocked shots. Akivia Short scored 17 points and 8 assists. Jacarian Burney scored 13 points. So that was against Carver.
Which is, they got a lot of athletes.
That's one of Charles Simpson's biggest wins ever.
Tim Faison,
and he has played the hardest schedule I remember any Charles Simpson basketball team playing.
I think the first 2 losses were to Metro Birmingham teams.
They've played Mountain Brook and
that's right, including Mountain Brook.
How much did they lose to Eufaula? It's supposed to be number 2 in the state. How much did we lose to Eufaula?
I think by 6 or 8. It was close. And the girls won that tournament. And there, KK Hobdy, she averages about 25, 30 points a game.
Well, she scored 41 points the other night. Did you see that?
No.
Yeah, Coach Jones's daughter is averaging 15 points a game at Belmont too. Nora Jones.
No, we need to keep up with these former Trojans. 15 points a game as a sophomore.
I wish she would have gone to Troy instead of Belmont.
Me too.
Yeah,
it's not too late.
Yeah, she transfer portal.
Everybody be cheerful. You're right. But let us know. Tell us a little bit about the Troy University's girls, Mike. How have they done?
I think they're
well, I mean, they just won the Mississippi State tournament. Beat Mississippi State in Starkville, and then they beat South Carolina State, and then they were down 24 points to Jackson State and came back and beat them by 17. So they're playing their best basketball.
How does that happen? She must have. She had to press them off the full court. When you say.
Yeah, I mean that was hard to believe. A comeback like that. Of course, just like we mentioned earlier, a lot of college basketball games are getting canceled. Bryce, I don't know what's going to happen. It seems like COVID now is hitting us worse now than it did last year.
Well, it is.
College basketball and other sports.
The cases are higher than they were at the peak last year, which was November, December, January. I mean, in some.
I tell you, yeah, exactly. I tell you when you should really be concerned when you see Bill Rice with a mask on. Wouldn't that be something, Mike, to see Bill Rice?
You never see me with a mask on because I don't think they work.
I tell you what,
times are tough when Bill Rice would have his mask on.
Hey,
I'm down at the beach right now, and there's thousands of people from all over the country down here at the beach. And then when I left Birmingham after Christmas, literally we heard from probably 10 different people that I had COVID just in the neighborhood we were staying in. I mean, it's spread like it's never spread before.
Well, let me ask y'all one question I'm not supposed to ask. Weren't these vaccines supposed to stop this?
Herd immunity?
Well, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, a lot of people think they just have like a little cold or a cough or a little headache, or sinuses, this time of year because it's winter time. And nobody realizes they have it, is what I'm hearing. And then they get tested, and then it turns out everybody in their family has it.
Well, we got a memo yesterday from Pike Liberal Arts. We will not be in school next week. We're going to start a week later just to make sure, to be proactive. To be proactive.
That's big. Look, hey, Boris, that is big news. We need to spread the news on that.
Well, it's.
Well, you can look at NFL teams, college teams. I mean, there's NFL teams, that have had 20 players testing positive in 1 week. So, I guess we're going to say that the vaccines prevent death maybe in severe cases, but they dang sure aren't preventing regular infections, or people that have the vaccine are spreading the vaccine to other people. You know how you know that? Have you heard like these cruise ships where there's 100% of the people that are vaccinated on the cruise ship are having huge outbursts? So, people that are vaccinated are giving it to other people who are vaccinated.
Now they want.
Yeah, the NFL union has reduced the COVID isolation time to 5 days. So the NFL is basically changing their stance on all this as far as isolation and being able to come back and play because all the great players can't play right now.
Well,
so now it's only 5 days.
The CDC has done the same thing.
The protocols. Who has been complaining about those protocols for a year and a half? Me. 80, like Michael just said, 80% of the people that have this, they're either asymptomatic or they have very mild symptoms that, you can work through, wouldn't keep you at home in bed. And so they're belatedly saying, yeah, even if you test positive, you're going to be fine. But I'll tell you who they don't change it for. It's the people that are unvaccinated. They still have the 14-day sit out. So they're discriminating between the unvaccinated and the vaccinated. We're going to punish those that didn't get vaccinated, but those that did, you can.
Let's just say this: it's getting vaccinated. To me, is the only way out. It's the only way to really give you some assurance
that you won't get it. That's right.
What the issue is right now, though, is like as far as travel. Like I've got to go to New Orleans to a wedding, not this weekend, but next weekend. everywhere you go in New Orleans, it doesn't matter what restaurant, which bar, the wedding venues, the casinos, everywhere you go, you have to show a card that you've been vaccinated. So certain cities are extremely strict.
Now they want
friends who just got back from New York, and they said New York was the same way.
They want to mandate all domestic flights that you must be vaccinated. They want to mandate that for the government.
You know, that might make sense if the dang vaccines worked, but I mean, are we listening to ourselves? Record number of cases. 80. If you talk about the adults, 85% of people over 50 years old have been vaccinated. If you look at people over 60, it's about 95% of the people. In the NFL, it's 97% are vaccinated.
Well, if you've had COVID,
that's the best. That's
and
the best.
You've had a
protection.
vaccine. If you've had COVID, you've got antibodies.
Well, and I'll tell you something about.
Can you get a card? Hey, I've had it.
That doesn't work. And that is a greater protection than these vaccines, which you got to get a booster, every 6 weeks now, every 3 months, 6 months. But by now, 60 or 70% of the country has had the virus.
It's never going away. It's going to be here for the rest of our lives.
Well, you can't vaccinate yourself out of this thing. But I think that's self-evident. But the more evidence that comes in that the vaccines don't stop infection or spread, the more we hear everybody's got to get vaccinated. It's like I'm living in Alice in Wonderland. I say.
See, Alabama's football teams have now 100% of their players and staff have now had both shots, and now over 92% have had the booster. So I don't know how in the world you can keep Alabama's players from playing in the playoffs and the national championship game when in most, I'd say 95% of the cases, they'd be asymptomatic.
Yeah, they won't be able to do that with Alabama because they've still, if you test positive, they're going to make you quarantine for a couple days. You got to have 2 negative tests back to back over 2 days. So right now, if somebody tested positive, if there was an outburst, those players wouldn't be able to, even with these new protocols, they would still have to be out.
This show's been brought to you by Premier Dodge Chrysler Jeep and Ram Trucks in Troy, Alabama. And ladies and gentlemen, you're looking for a great deal. Remember, nobody beats up a Premier deal. Nobody. We'll be back to Today in L.A. in just a moment.
It's the Big Finish pre-owned sales event. 120 used cars, trucks, and SUVs. 2.5 million in inventory. Starting at $2,995. Down payments as low as $29. And payments starting at just $99 a month. Shop at PremierTroy.com. Or come see us. Nobody beats a Premier deal. Nobody.
I wish you could taste how much better food tastes when cooked on a Green Mountain Grill. But I can let you in on the reason that's true. Our pellets contain water, so they create steam while you cook, keeping your food moist. Does a gas or charcoal grill do that? I think not.
Come and see us at Southern Grill and Patio just off the square in Troy.
A personal touch, a high level of trust. Whether it's checking and savings accounts, personal or business loans, or our local friendly service. That's what Troy Bank and Trust customers expect. But now we offer more. Free identity theft protection for our new and existing customers, protecting your family's time, money, and good name from identity theft. Because protecting your identity is now a big part of our identity.
Life is hectic enough without worrying if your lights will stay on or if there's hot water for your child's bath. So count on natural gas to keep the energy flowing, even when the weather is unpredictable. Natural gas is always there to keep your home warm, showers hot, and food cooked to perfection. That's why America has relied on safe and affordable natural gas for more than 150 years. And we will be here for you and future generations too. You can count on natural gas from Southeast Alabama Gas District.
It's the Big Finish event going on now at Premier Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Save up to $10,000 on new Ram 1500 or new Jeep Grand Cherokee. Save up to $10,000 during the Big Finish event at PremierTroy.com. Nobody beats a Premier deal. Nobody.
I don't.
We're back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Today in L.A. I'm Forrest Lee. This is Bill Rice. And on the phone we have Michael Amos calling in from Florida, and his dad, Mike Sr., calling in from the great state of Florida as well. Welcome back to the show.
Yeah, of course, sitting here looking at the beautiful ocean, and I reckon I've got as good a seat looking at the ocean as anybody, and we're awfully proud to be on the show today. And of course, it's brought to you by Jeep and Ram Trucks in Troy, Alabama. Yes.
What's everybody catching the fish with today? What's the fishing game report down at Panama City Beach?
I don't know. I don't know, but
we got waves at 2 to 3 feet today, and looks like calm waters in Panama City Beach.
Michael, when does your daughters go back to school?
They don't go back till January the 5th. I wish they'd go back right away, but
is that a Wednesday?
It's kind of scaring me. You're talking about them already shutting down schools for another week. That's just more money I got to pay a babysitter.
Yeah, I mean, that's something else with these lockdowns all around the world, or lockdowns light. Man, that has big time economic implications for the global economy and when you tell people they can't have a job, or they've got to get child care or pay for a babysitter for their kids. This is scary in more sense than just the virus.
Well, food is going up. Gas come down a little
Food
bit.
prices are just this inflation is.
When are we going to get new vehicles on lots?
I don't know. That's scary.
I don't know. I'll tell you this. Of course, Premier Dodge Chrysler Jeep and Ram Trucks on the bypass in Troy is one of our main sponsors of this show, and we appreciate Jason and all the great staff out there. They're dealing like no other car dealer in the country. They're dealing. But I want to mention that we've got a lot of good games left. I mean, a tremendous slate of games. And the one I want to ask y'all about is Maryland and Virginia Tech and the Pinstripe Bowl. Are they going to play that game?
Yeah, scheduled to be played. Of course, that's Talua Tumabaloa, Tua's brother. Maryland, best season they've had in a while. Virginia Tech is going to have an interim coach coaching in this game. I like Maryland to win tonight.
They're both 6-6.
I do too. Right now that's a 1:15 game, Mike. I reckon these are.
Will the coordinators for Clemson be on the sideline today?
That's a good question. I don't know.
Because they play Iowa State.
Probably would be.
Yeah, they play at 5:45 on ESPN.
We need to mention John Summerall will coach linebackers at Kentucky, so he will coach Kentucky in the bowl game against Iowa. Troy's coach.
Yeah.
That is very, very, very loyal. That's been very loyal.
So, Rice, what has happened to the great Mac Jones? He looked like he was going to be Rookie of the Year. He struggled tremendously the last few games with the Patriots. I watched them against Buffalo. Doesn't seem like he was able to get the ball downfield much at all.
It did look like something's going on. I noticed he was wearing a knee brace. But yeah, that one game was in a blizzard where the wind gusts were 60 miles an hour. So I understand that. His stats are kind of misleading. He had 2 interceptions in the last game, but the last one was a Hail Mary, which is throwing it to the end zone. But yeah, he's kind of lost some momentum. But I still think the Patriots had a chance to beat Buffalo. I watched that game, but the Patriots could not stop Buffalo. They couldn't get the ball back.
But Buffalo's quarterback, one of the best in the country.
Yeah, he is. He was real impressive.
Josh Allen played at Wyoming of all places. You know who might be Rookie of the Year? He's going to set the all-time receiving record for catches in a season. Is Jalen Waddle is putting up phenomenal numbers with the Dolphins.
I think he's caught like 96.
He caught 10 passes this last weekend.
Yeah, they just throwing these little 1-yard passes. His average is about 5 yards a catch, but he's got a ton of catches.
I predict New England will win. They play Jacksonville this weekend. I think they play the Jaguars.
I'll tell you what. If you didn't take the Dolphins heavy against the Saints the other night. My God, watching that Ian Bullock, the Notre Dame rookie quarterback, he was getting drilled like you'll never see a quarterback get hit. That Dolphins defense is physical.
You know, if they win the next 2 games, they're in the playoffs, and that is something else.
They wrote off Tua too early too.
What do y'all think about the NFL playing 17 games this year? We haven't talked about that.
Oh my
and
God.
they're still trying to get Phillip Rivers to come to the coach because the Colts are right there on the brink of being in the playoffs.
Oh.
Yeah. They need him.
Carson Wentz is unvaccinated, so he'll have to sit out 10 days.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, so there are a few. Him and Aaron Rodgers and Amari Cooper. There's a couple. But, 95% of the people that are sitting out these games are, they're all the coaches and players. Most of them are vaccinated.
They had an NBA player to buckle because the state of Washington, D.C. If you are in a indoor facility, a public indoor facility, you must be vaccinated or have your first vaccine by the second week in January. He's taking it.
He
wants to play basketball. He needs that money.
Yeah, they're getting people. They hold the sword over your head and say, yeah, you don't have to do it, but there's a basketball player for the Brooklyn Nets that is now going to play on the road games because they will not let him play in Manhattan, in Brooklyn. And he's just had COVID, so he's now immune for at least a year or so. But it doesn't matter that he can't play for his own team at a home game.
You know who's playing really good football right now is Jalen Hurts. He's actually an alternate, Pro Bowl alternate this year. So he's really, really played well. I've been shocked about how much he's gotten progressively better since he left Alabama.
I'm happy for him. I like him.
I tell you what, and of course, ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate our good friends at Troy Bank and Trust Company. Remember, Troy Bank and Trust Company is the only bank you'll ever need. And, of course, it's good to be back to Troy and went to the bank yesterday. And great people at Troy Bank and Trust Company.
To slide back to COVID real quick, the Alabama State candidate Mike Durant, who was a POW at one time, that the vaccine mandate, he may have to fire 80 employees because he owns a company that works for the federal government, has federal government contracts, and their mandate is if you employ over 100 people, they have to be vaccinated. So he may have to fire 80 employees, according to an article in Alabama.com today.
Yeah,
the military.
Harsin would have been fired by now, except Auburn and Alabama had the same thing. Since these colleges all have federal contracts, said you have to be vaccinated, but they suspended it. They suspended that order as the courts are trying cases to see if this is constitutional.
Because they get federal money. Troy State never mandated it.
But Auburn and Alabama were supposed to fire everybody that wasn't vaccinated by now, and then about 3 weeks ago they quietly said no, we're not going to do it. And so, but if they had stuck with that, they would have had to make a decision on Coach Harsin, who, as far as everybody knows, is not vaccinated.
I want to throw out a few things, some of the things that are happening in Troy. Forest. One of them is that we're getting a new hotel in Troy, which I've been begging for that for a while, and we've got one of the former Alabama stars has a restaurant, and it looks like they're coming to Troy.
Baumhauer? Is that Baumhauer?
Oh, we've been talking about hearing that rumor for a while. We didn't want to mention it publicly, but you've got some good sources that say that.
It's not a done deal, but that's what people tell me. That is, he's bringing his restaurant to Troy. That's great.
Man, those are fantastic restaurants. The Baumhauers.
Yeah.
If that's true, I'll be
it's still rumor, but hopefully that rumor will come true. And then, of course, we've gotten another Mexican food seafood place and
It
one
is
more on
great.
the way.
Los
We're going
Hermanos?
to be the Mexican restaurant,
I like
Luke. I tell you what.
It is good. Well, I went to Luverne yesterday. Jody and I carried some ice cream and Coca-Colas to a friend of ours who's battling cancer, and she likes Coke floats. And so
I do too.
we carried some to her, and on the way, I said, "We're over here near Luverne. Let's go." So we went to the shack.
I need to go to the barn over there in your neck of the woods where you grew up.
Where did you eat now? Where did you eat?
I ate at the chicken shack. You know, I may
Okay.
get in my truck today and just ride the dirt roads.
You know, you
Just
talk
ride
about
the
Coke
roads.
Like
floats.
that.
I am the expert in our family at making Coke floats, and my family loves them too.
Really?
But it takes a process. It takes time to pour that Coke in there and stir it, and then let it, and pour some more Coke. There's an art to it. It's not as easy to do it right and get the right texture of that Coke float. It takes a little time.
When I go to Bird's Drugs, well, I've got out of that routine in the afternoons, but a banana milkshake. If they have the
A banana milkshake. Now I haven't heard that. Now.
Yeah, a banana milkshake. The banana has to be kind of ripened a little bit, but you got to puree it pretty good. But I love banana milkshakes.
Did you get it at Birds?
That's where I get them when I get them. Yeah.
A Coke float is really good. And then some people like a root beer float, but it's not as good as a Coke float.
Right, I bet they probably would make you one at Birds if you wanted one.
I bet they would too.
Hey, there's a polar bear plunge coming in January, the 29th, at the Troy Rec Department, sponsored by the Troy
this
Pike
is
Habitat
what
for
you were
Humanity.
campaigning
I'll be
to.
there. I'm going to dive this year. I did it the first year, and I had a conflict last year, but I plan on being in the plunge. You know,
Oh boy!
I'll tell you what, man. I'll tell you what. You can go plunge down here at the beach right now. If it's 75 for about a week, the water's probably not super cold. I'll tell you what. There are so many snowbirds down here, though. Every other tag is Michigan, Oregon, Quebec,
Ontario.
Wisconsin.
I tell you what. These snowbirds don't drive very well either. They drive real slow and they're kind of erratic.
Watch out for those snowbirds.
I tell you what, I've got a beautiful, beautiful view of the Gulf, and then it's smooth as silk down here. That's at Panama City Beach.
You know, you're looking at Alabama against Cincinnati, and everybody keeps on talking about Cincinnati's secondary, about how great these two cover guys are, and then they're talking about, the defensive line. And I read something yesterday that makes you really concerned as a fan, for Alabama, is they got 33 seniors on this team.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So that just tells you how experienced they are. And then you look
33.
at,
Wow.
I read the Tuscaloosa News when I was in Birmingham before I left. And I don't think they have one guy, except maybe Jerome Ford, the Alabama transfer, that was a 4-star. Everybody else is 3 stars or less. So, I mean, Alabama, talent-wise, you would think would have a huge advantage. But, man, playing
I'm gonna tell you this.
33 seniors and then looking at what the FCC is doing so far in the bowl, kind of scary.
I'm going to tell you this right now. Cincinnati's going to beat Alabama.
Upset alert.
Cincinnati is going to beat
Ladies and gentlemen.
Alabama. Remember I said it.
Good. It wouldn't surprise
Good.
me.
Yeah. When do they play
I
basketball?
don't have a line on the game, but don't have a line on the game that Cincinnati's going to win the football game.
Alabama's a 14-point
They've got a bunch
favorite.
of grown men playing for Cincinnati, and Alabama's got a bunch of freshmen playing.
33 seniors. I looked at one of
Cincinnati.
my football magazines, which is not the Lindsay's one that's not as good, or Athlon's. But I noticed early on that their whole roster was seniors, and that matters, man.
You can get a ticket to the Bama game for about $100. Now the game in Florida with Georgia and Michigan, those are still around $180, $200. But the national championship tickets were one time about $1,500, but they dropped down to about $1,200. If Cincinnati or Michigan rolls into the national championship game,
Watch out.
those ticket prices are going to go through the roof.
It could be Cincinnati and Michigan.
Could be.
The key,
Alabama's 13.5 right now, over under 57.5, and then Georgia's 7.5. But could change.
I tell you, Cincinnati's a lock at 13.5.
I got them at
Could
14.
change due to the COVID issue. You just don't ever know if you're going to have any of that information before game time, though.
Well, Cincinnati, you talk about their 3 stars. They might have been 2 and 3 stars coming out of high school, but from what I've heard, they've got tons of pro prospects on that team. Like they've got the #1 cornerback in America.
About 6 guys invited to the Senior Bowl.
If you got, if they were 3 stars and they're seniors, they're at least 4 or 5 stars now.
Yeah, 4 or 5 stars for now, right?
6 guys from Cincinnati's roster have been invited to the Senior Bowl.
That's more than Alabama.
I know that this sounds silly, but the key is if Cincinnati can block them, if they can block them, they can win the game. And I think Alabama's clutch is their defensive line.
You know, Will, that's a good point. Alabama's defensive line might be getting better finally. It's kind of slowly. Like LeBron Ray is playing more and more. He's a good player. He's been battled injuries his whole career. Smith, number 50, is playing better. The nose guard that Helms coached in high school, he's starting to play a little better.
DJ Dell.
And then Alabama's got their linebacker that was hurt. Is the kid from Texas is back, although he's been beat out by a freshman. Except for the cornerback position, Alabama's defense should be in a better position.
But the thing to me that impresses me about Cincinnati is that they're 100% the same team that they played with all year long, and they're a veteran team like y'all said, and it's no question in my mind they're going to move football on Alabama. How much remains to be seen, but I've got a feeling that 13.5 points is going to be a shoe-in for anybody that'll take it.
I'm going to take it.
How's their special teams? Punting, kicking?
I think it's good, real good. They got a really good quarterback. They got 2 great cornerbacks. Real good pass rush. Their running back ran for 180 yards in this last game. He's an Alabama transfer.
I think the key will be Alabama's Robinson will be 100% healthy, and I guess you got him and Sanders will be our 2 running backs.
But I mean, to me, of course, that's the key. They've got to be able to run the football. I think to be able to win the game.
Well, what do y'all think? Alabama's been focused and not overlooking this team.
We're focused.
If they are, they're crazy.
We're focused
right now.
All right. When Alabama's focused, you don't ever go against Alabama, man. If they're, I'll tell you who Alabama overlooked one year. Talking some history. Remember the first time Alabama played Ohio State in the first playoff in 2014? Ohio State wasn't even supposed to be in the game. They had a 3rd-string quarterback. Alabama was going to kill them. And then Ohio State dominated. Alabama kind of hung in there and had an outside chance to win late, but Alabama was not into that game like Ohio State was. And when I said, Alabama's in trouble, I kept seeing reports in New Orleans of the fans and down at the game, and it was all Ohio State people. They were.
Now let me say something that we don't hear much. The Cincinnati coach has been snubbed by everybody. This guy is a great football coach, but you don't hear anybody say anything about him at all. But he is an outstanding coach, and he's got his team intact. He's got a machine at Cincinnati, and you're going to see what I mean when they
all
play.
All right, here's how Cincinnati got here. Cincinnati opened the season. They beat Miami, Ohio, a bowl team, 49-14. They beat Murray State Racers, 42-7. They won at Indiana, 38-24. Of course, their biggest win at Notre Dame, 24-13. They beat the Temple Owls, 52-3. They beat Gus Malzahn, the great Gus Malzahn, 56-21. They struggled at Navy. They won 27-20. They beat Tulane Green Wave 31-12. They struggled at home against Tulsa. Tulsa almost beat them. They got beat 28-20. Then they went to South Florida, and they beat South Florida 45-28. They destroyed SMU 48-14. They beat a pretty good East Carolina team 35-13. And then the Houston Cougars, who beat Auburn yesterday in the bowl, they beat in the conference championship game 35-20. So that's what Cincinnati's done this year.
Yeah, pretty good.
They lost one game last year, and they've lost 0 games this year. So they're, they're
Was they only lost to Georgia last year?
by a field goal,
Yeah.
53-yard field goal at the end. So they're for real. Alabama better be ready.
The Bearcats.
And y'all tell me that Alabama. I think Alabama isn't overlooking them, but I don't know.
Will this be the greatest upset in college football history?
One of
It
them.
might be, but what you see, what we are doing is we're not giving them any respect at all. Cincinnati.
What are you talking about? You just picked Cincinnati to win the game. What kind of respect are you
That's
giving?
what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Most people are not. That's one of the reasons I'm taking Cincinnati 13.5 because they're not getting any respect.
Oh, I thought you picked Cincinnati to win the game.
And then I've picked them to win the game. I really have.
Oh, wow.
Cincinnati to win the game.
Well, Houston. I mean, who was it? No, Utah. Utah wasn't supposed to have a chance, and they beat Alabama pretty easily.
Yeah, but Alabama had lost their chance for the national championship. They had nothing to play for in that one.
All right, guys, we got some games tonight. Let's look at it. Maryland and Virginia Tech. I like Maryland too. What are you feeling, Forrest?
Well, all right, let's go Maryland. I want to win.
All right. Whoever else?
I can't believe they let football games happen in Yankee Stadium. That's still hard to believe.
Yeah, I know it. Then at 4:45 today or 3:45, it's Clemson and Iowa State. I like Clemson. I still think they feel like they got something that they need to show.
That's a very
I
good
like
game.
Who do y'all like that?
I would say what you just said, Mike.
I'll take Clemson.
But Iowa State also has something to prove too.
Very, very low line here though. Clemson's 2.5. They're 9-3. Iowa State's 7-5. So that's interesting to me. And then Oregon, Oklahoma at late night. Oklahoma's a 7-point favorite over Oregon.
Like you said, I know this was going through my mind. Oklahoma's Oklahoma. Against Oregon, I'll take Oklahoma.
Me too.
If Oklahoma wins, do they carry Bob Stoops off the field?
I don't know. They might. Yeah, of course, he's still a great coach.
Why does Bob Stoops not want to get back into coaching? I know he's had some health issues, but I figured he would have got back into coaching.
I know it.
Well, and then we've got
Urban Meyer surely will get back into college coaching, I would think.
Where would be a good place for Urban Meyer?
Oklahoma.
Well,
He don't want Oklahoma.
exactly. And of course, on Thursday,
Has Oklahoma hired anybody yet?
Yeah, the defensive coordinator for Clemson.
Oh, that's right. Is it Venable?
If Mike Norvell didn't work out at Florida State, does Florida State go get Urban Meyer?
Good question.
Yeah, that's right. You would think so. You would think that'd be a great job. But I would think Florida State people would eat that up if they
Ooh,
thought.
yeah, I would like to coach in the ACC instead of the SEC. I just think you got about 9 or 10 guaranteed wins if you're a halfway decent coach.
Will it come to the Nick Saban School of Coaching Rehab?
No, his ego is too big.
Yeah. Well, we got a great list of teams today, and on Thursday we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. What is it?
3.
No.
We got 3 tomorrow.
We got 5 games on Thursday. Yeah.
Yeah, tomorrow we can talk about the controversy of playing these playoff games on New Year's Eve instead of New Year's Day. I've heard a lot of national pundits thinking this is ridiculous.
Yeah, you're right. A lot of people will not be able to see that game because they got to work. You know, it's crazy.
Yeah.
But we appreciate you guys so much, and I'll let y'all have it from here.
Thank you, Michael. Mike, you gonna come in? Y'all gonna be here tomorrow? Mike, you coming back?
Yes, sir. Y'all
Yeah.
be, yes,
Yeah, we'll
sir.
be here in the
Y'all
morning.
Be here tomorrow.
Are you gonna be at the beach, or are you coming back to Troy?
I'm gonna be at the beach.
Okay, all right. Well, Forrest and I will be right back here on the set.
So look forward to seeing y'all.
All right.
Y'all
Well,
have a great day.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this has been Today in L.A. With Forrest Lee and Bill Rice, and on the phone we've had Mike Jr. calling in from Florida and his dad Mike, and we wish you a great day, and let's finish the year strong, and we'll see you in the morning.